Hello, everyone. This is Rob from Ron's Consignment, 714 Washington Avenue, Woodbine. And of course, as we all know, it's now time to fall back, meaning it's time for us to set our clocks back an hour. Means we get a little more sleep. So before you go to bed tonight, be sure to remember to do that. But of course, one thing we're going to talk about is, when did daylight savings time really begin? And if you ask any child, they'll always tell you Benjamin Franklin. And as a matter of fact, that's how I was taught too. But did Benjamin Franklin really create daylight savings time? Well, the answer was that he didn't. Benjamin Franklin wrote a series of satirical pieces throughout his life. He was not only a political author, but he made his money by also being a well-read author through newspaper columns and also through his satire pieces. So when we look at Franklin's work, in 1784, he actually published a book. And in that book was a series of suggestions. Now, the book was called An Economical Project, and this is a very, very old book. And I have it marked. So, Benjamin Franklin, in reality, was suggesting, tongue-in-cheek, to conserve candles and the cost of making candles. And in the book, he writes, here we go. Every morning as the sun rises, let all bells in every church be set ringing. And if that is not sufficient, let cannon be fired in every street to wake the sluggards effectually. Oblige a man to rise at 4 in the morning, and it's probable that he will go willingly to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Again, An Economical Project, 1784. So it was a joke. The reality was that in rural America, the cows had no concept of what a clock was. They would wake up when they woke up. And so, same with your chickens, same with your chores. But really, it wasn't until 1907. There was a very wealthy English builder. His name was Willett. And Willett was riding his horse, just basically in the dawn before the automobile became popular. And he realized that all the shutters in the homes that he passed were cut tight. And he said, why would someone do this? So he actually wrote a treatise, but he went much farther than Ben Franklin. And it was called The Waste of Daylight, in which he proposed not to waste those waking hours. And he actually rallied Parliament, heavily. He spent a small fortune doing it. And when that didn't work, he approached U.S. Congress, and he was laughed off. But it still stuck. And so during World War I, Germany realized that saving coal was paramount. So therefore, they implemented their first version of daylight savings time. And Woodrow Wilson, when the United States entered the war, said, you know what? That's not a bad idea. So Woodrow Wilson implemented it. Well, that's all fine and dandy. But the reality was that after World War I, daylight savings time simply disappeared. There was no need to save energy. There was no war effort going on. And we wouldn't see it again until the bombing of Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, when rationing took effect in the United States. So after that, daylight savings time, and some of you may even remember this, actually sort of slowly took effect. But it was almost voluntarily. You had states like Arizona, Hawaii, Alaska, didn't believe in it. There was no reason for it. And I would say that one of the funnier points, but history is funny, and it was our very near history, was that Indiana is split in 2 time zones. So therefore you had half the state adopting, half the state not. And finally, 2007, believe it or not, daylight savings time was formally adopted. There was an act by Congress, and it took all that time, even though we practiced it, certainly around here ever since I can remember. So again, it took till 2007 until daylight savings time was formally regulated. That's your moment in history. I'm Rob from Ron's Consignments. Of course, as we set our clocks around here, we have plenty of them. So if you're in the market for a vintage clock, pay us a visit. And of course, see all the fun antiques that we have. Whether it's records, whether it's pop culture, whether it's glass, whether it's bottles, whether it's vintage and estate jewelry, whether it's military, there's a good chance that you'll find something here at Ron's Consignment, 714 Washington Avenue, Woodbine, New Jersey. And of course, as we set our clocks back, I'll see you here.